Shabbat Shalom. Brian cannot tell with throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think I figured out how to get on this week. And try to find out if I'm live here. Can you hear me all right? Drubert 420, good to see you this morning. Just a real quick chest. Good morning. I am Brian cannot tell. As I started. I am currently reading from the Rig Vedas. This set of readings is not from my particular belief standpoint, so as I read through, you will hear me make comments from my own belief systems. I hope that others would also participate in the chat and throw in things that they hear and see through these. For some reason, I managed to do something once again this week, and that is save where I was and then not be able to find it. Okay, I think I lost my connection for a minute. I apologize if you're watching this. I cannot even tell if I'm coming in right now because my connection stopped for a minute. I have to restart this over. It says I'm live. They have to restart this over. It says I'm live. They have to restart. Looks like fortunately it picked my screen back up. People come in. Hopefully begin to see some comments. I love all this YouTube stuff. It was a little bit easier to start out with when you just pushed a button and then it came up at the right time and started for you. And I did manage to sit down with the Streamlabs for a few minutes this week and confuse myself a bit more. Rock and Grow, good morning. Getting set up here, making sure everything's operating and running. Giving my little wind up here. Appreciate you coming in. This channel, I spend time each week reading from different ancient and religious texts. This process started, somewhere about 1994. When my first son was born, I was at that time doing a lot of personal research into the Vedas and stuff outside of the religious aspect of it, mainly New Age spiritualism. I've told this story before where I had had a vision as a young man of me having a son, and when that vision came true, I then went back to my belief and faith of my younger self and got very strongly into the religious system again, and putting myself under that form of slavery. The scripture says that we're to be bondsmen of Christ In other words, everything we do, we're to put under the slavery of not a master that is here and now, but one that has already set us free. And so when I came back into the religious side of it, I began reading the Bible from the start instead of reading bits and pieces here and there as I'd done my whole life, going to church, hearing a little verse here told about, a little verse there told about. Well, I started at the beginning and started reading through. And at the same time, I was attending a cult church where we went to church about 5-6 days a week. And the preacher started preaching these sermons, and he started using these verses from the scriptures that I was just reading. I mean, just reading, like in the same days. And he was twisting them around to meet his message. And it all sounded and looked all right if you only took a piece of the message out of the story. And that was the beginning of the blinders being taken off my eyes as to all of the deception that goes on that's used. Even, I mean, it says the demons know the word of the word, the scriptures. They know the scriptures we don't know, the ones that have been buried and hidden and burned and destroyed. And so as more and more things didn't line up with those scriptures, we left that church and we began an exploratory of going through all different denominations, all different backgrounds and beliefs. I know that there's a lot of separation. People see Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Christianity. They see these as, different religions, but they all take the same set of scriptures as their root, and then they pollute the root, and that pollutes the whole tree. However, within each place, we saw many good people who believed in the Creator, who were living good lives, who were truly under oppression from this system. And the more we began to ask questions, the more places we were asked to leave. So each week I would read more and more of the scripture out loud to my kid. Of course, he's a baby. He can't understand or know any of it. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate that. But I started reading it to him. Along came my second son. We continued the tradition in the home. And along came my third son, or my daughter. And that was, by that time, it was 1998. We were actually attending Jewish synagogues at that time. We had begun to do more and more of the Old Testament as we couldn't find where it had been eliminated. And a Christian in a synagogue is a toxic situation, which we didn't know. Of course, we found that out as we were asked to leave once again. And from the synagogue, we had met several people who were in the Messianic movement, which were Jews who believed in Jesus. And through that, we began to move more into that community. But then once again, as we got into that community, we began to see it had its denominations, it had its separations, it had its cult practices in place in each one of these groups. And I use the word cult in the form of that structure, not particularly as a slur word to any group, but they have a certain structure within cults. And we saw this perpetrated all around us. And as we asked questions about that, we began to be shifted from one group to another within the community because you can't ask too many questions even there. And so I began to read, because of the Messianic movement, they brought the old apocryphal scriptures back into the Bible. So we read those together. And through those, we saw that there were other writings that were referred to. And this was very early when the tablets were first being interpreted, and Zechariah Stitchin was still going around on the circuit telling his story. And we went and we looked into all that stuff, and began to realize that there were more ancient histories written down. And so that's kind of where we started. We did read the Tablets of Enki to the kids. We read them a few other ones. We read them bits and pieces, showing where the Vedas had matched up. Some things like I had read last week. If you go back, you'll see where we have the word is already spoken about being the word of creation. We have the fact that in the Vedas also the fact that there was an original law put into order called the Holy Law, that there was already the separation of what is considered righteous or pious people and those that are sinners or the destroyers or destructive people. Um, so as I continue to read from the Vedas, I'm trying to show that there was already, before what we consider the modern religion, all these principles were already in place. Now, whether you believe that the earth's been through many different cataclysms or however you personally believe, we know from scripture that it's obvious that there's been one great cataclysm. And we can kind of go off of that record and know that that means there was a history before that. And so whether this history is a million years in the past or just 400,000, 250,000 or whatever, my personal belief, this goes back to the original fall, that every time we have a description of the Satan in scripture, it's not always the same being. And I think we get the indication in scripture by the different names, by the different indication of where they're from and things like that. And I believe these texts, the Vedas, are some of those original stories. And we've been reading, and I've made it through chapter 39 last week. And once again, my thing reset back to 30 again. I don't know why it keeps doing this. I have laptop issues all the time because this thing is getting tired. I guess we've read through 40, so we are at 41. As I've mentioned before, I am a medical patient with the use of marijuana in the state of Florida. You will see me smoke at times throughout this thing. One of my original consideration was not doing that on the air as I progress through these, because I know it does offend some people, but the reality is a lot of people haven't seen not only the aspects of my illnesses, which are often displayed through the broadcast, but they haven't seen how it changes people. In other words, they're still able to think, still able to talk, still able to communicate. There's always a point where you can abuse anything. And I will not deny that there's people who abuse everything, including marijuana. And to be honest, a lot of people are staring away from that word toward cannabis, which is the original word that was used in this country. The prohibition on it is only a little over 50 years old. So the research that's coming out now is showing more and more the stuff that I'm speaking about, how it medically helps. This week I am smoking a strain called Cake Baby. It was originally produced by Toy Soldier. My friends Newts and Nugs grew this out for me. I had some growing, but Florida changed their laws, or actually they originally, the law we passed was that we were going to be allowed to have plants as medical patients in the state of Florida. And then after they passed the law, they kiboshed that very quickly. Well, I had already started my grows and all, but in the process of them changing the laws and strife within my own home, I had to cut down my grow of the same stuff. And this is a 50-50. Sativas work more toward the mind side, toward the relaxation and the mood elevation. lifting you out of a depression or something like that. The indicas work more on the body toward healing inflammation, healing pain. Um, so this particular one's 50-50 and it works real good. I'll take a couple hits before I get to reading. I do also use kratom for pain, and recently started a CBD isolate routine that has greatly increased my production this last week. I've had one day sick, and it wasn't even all day um, since I started the CBD. I'm really looking forward to the day that I see full healing. I've heard a lot of people have had good results. All right, heading into 40, it's for Varuna, Mitra, and Ariaman. I can't see the chat while I'm reading. Well, I might be able to figure that out while I'm reading. Talked about that earlier. The Vedas are the original heart and text of Hinduism. They are the songs that were written about the gods and about the histories and to the gods. We have a lot of clear displays within the Vedas of not only who their gods are, but also what their motivations and stuff are. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. Hymn 40. Ne'er is he injured whom the gods Varuna, Mitra, Ariaman, the excellently wise, protect. He prospers ever, free from scathe, whom they, as with full hands enrich, whom they preserve from every foe. The kings drive far away from him his troubles and his enemies, and lead him safely o'er distress. Thornless, Adityas, is the path, easy for him who seeks the law. With him is not to anger you. What sacrifice, Adityas, ye heroes guide by the path direct? May that come nigh unto your thought, that mortal, ever unsubdued, gains wealth and every precious thing, and children also of his own. How, my friends, shall we prepare Ariaman's and Mitra's laud, glorious food of Varuna? I point not out to you a man who strikes the pious or reviles. Only with hymns I call you nigh. Let him not love to speak ill words, but fear the one who holds all four within his hands until they fall. Here once again we have a reference to V1. And I've shown before where this seems to be a reference to the Creator One, and that this is reference that he has all four of those gods within his hands, and that this is a asking for the righteous people, not for ones who have been evil. Hymn 42, Pusan. Shorten our ways, O Pusan, move aside obstruction in the path. Go close before us, cloud-born God. Drive, Pusan, from our road the wolf, the wicked, inauspicious wolf, who lies in wait to injure us. Once again, I'd like to point out that we have throughout the scriptures the image of the wolf, and it shows up here as well, who lurks about the path we take, the robber with the guileful heart. Far from the road, chase him away. Tread with thy foot and trample out the firebrand of the wicked one, the double tongue, whoe'er he be. Wise Pusan, wonder worker, we claim of thee now the aid wherewith thou furtherest our sires of old. So, Lord of all prosperity, best wielder of the golden sword, make riches easy to be won. Past all pursuers lead us, make pleasant our path, and fair to tread. O Pusan, find thou power for this. Lead us to the meadows rich in grass. Send us on our way to early heat. O Pusan, find thou power for this. Be gracious to us, fill us full. Give, feed us, and invigorate. O Pusan, find thou power for this. No blame have we for Pusan. Him we magnify with songs of praise. We seek the mighty one for wealth. Good morning, Lisa G. Thanks for joining in. I'll make a comment on yours here in just a few. 43 is to Rudra. What shall we sing to Rudra? Strong, most, bounteous, excellently wise, that shall be dearest to his heart. That Aditi may grant the favor of Rudra to our folk, our kind, our cattle, and our progeny. That Mitra and that Varuna and that Rudra may remember us, yea, all the gods with one accord. To Rudra, Lord of sacrifice, of hymns and balmy medicines, we pray for joy and health and strength. He shines in splendor like the sun, refulgent as bright gold is he, the good, the best among the gods. May he grant health unto our steeds, well-being to our rams and ewes, to men, to women, and to kine. O Soma, set thou upon us the glory of 100 men, the great renown of mighty chiefs. Let not malignities, nor those who trouble Soma hinder us. Indu, give us a share of strength. Soma, head, central point, love these. Soma, know these as serving thee. Children of thee immortal at the highest place of holy law. Guess I'm going to have to look more into the actual Soma. It sounded there like it was being treated as a being as well. Immortal, this is to 44 to Agni. Immortal Jatavedas, thou many-hued, fulgent gift of dawn. Angi this day to him who pays oblations, bring the gods who waken with the morn. For thou art offering bearer and love messenger, the charioteer of sacrifice. According with the Asvines, and with dawn grant us his heroic strength and lofty fame. As messenger we choose today Angi, the good whom many love. Smoke banner, spreader of the light, at break of day glory of sacrificial rites. Him noblest and most youthful, richly worshipped guest, dear to men offer many gifts. Him, Angi Jatavedas, I beseech at dawn that he may bring the gods to us. The Angi will I glorify, deathless nourisher of the world, immortal, offering bearer, meat for sacred food, preserver, best at sacrifice. Tell good things to thy praiser, O most youthful God, as richly worshipped, honey-tongued, and granting the Praskanva lengthened days of life, show honor to the heavenly host. From the men Angi kindle thee as all possessor and as priest. This is once again a reference to Angi being sounds like the first original high priest. And while I'm stopping for just a moment, it sounded like the reference to Aspen's is same as like in Venus, the morning star. For the men, Angi, kindle thee as the possessor and as priest. So Angi, much invoked, bringing hither with all speed the gods, the excellently wise. At dawn of day, at night, Usus and Savitar, the Asmans, Bhaga, Angi's self, skilled in fair rites, with Soma poured, the canvas light thee, the oblation wafting God. For Angi, Lord of sacrifice and messenger of men art thou. Bring now the gods who wake at dawn, who see the light, this day to drink the Soma juice. Thou shonest forth, O Angi, after former dawns, all visible, O rich in light. Thou art our help in battle strife, the friend of Enon, the great high priest in sacrifice. Like Manu, we will establish thee, Angi, performer of the rite, invoker, ministering priest, exceeding wise, the swift immortal messenger. When, as the gods' high priest, by many loved, thou dost their mission as their nearest friend, then, like the far resounding billows of the flood, thy flame, O Angi, roar aloud. Eat, Angi, who hast ears to hear, with all thy train of escort gods. Let Mitra, Ariaman, seeking betimes our right, seek them upon the sacred grass. Let those who strengthen law, who bountifully give the life-tongued Maruts, hear our praise. May law supporting Varuna with the Aswins twain and Usas drink the Soma juice. Yes, we have clearly stated that Angi is the god's high priest. It'd be cool if we could find a priest list from those times to see if they all link up. Lisa, good morning. Wow, we got two Lisas in today, Lisa G and Lisa. Okay, Lisa, I will do that. I'll take a moment. I am reading from the Rig Vedas. The Vedas are the scriptures that Hinduism, Buddhism, and all those are based on. Um, my personal belief is that this is a religious structure from a previous Earth system, and it shows that a lot of the story that we're having told now has been played out before, and that all these principles that we're seeing brought out in the world, such as is there a creator, are there angels and demons, and different things like this, is there a law, a natural law, God's law, that all these things have been addressed historically, um, prior to what we call our current scripture. Now, my personal belief is our current scripture, or the Bible, is a refinement of the Creator's text. That there's been two wars, two seeds at war from the beginning. That there's been several different falls, first angelic and then human, etc., and that these are all recorded in the earth and in its history. So my personal belief is this is all a record of a previous one of those systems that was put up and then came down. Um, and I'm reading it to show that we're living in the same battle, in the same set of rules, same laws, that these are a spiritual thing that's repeating it over and over, and that my personal belief is that this all comes to an end. Even in these, we hear these ends spoken of. Um, so I'm just trying to show that there is a historical context to this story from one end of time to the other. You know, Lisa, sometimes I have a memory disability too, but it's short term. I'm playing. Let me get a sip here. I do appreciate everybody coming in and listening. Let me drop that link real quick for you, Lisa. I didn't even do that each week. Click, click, click. There we go. I went through and reviewed quite a few websites. Most of these translations are all pretty close to the same exact thing. I chose this one because they had big words, and I'm a blind person. And if I put on my glasses, it's actually at the wrong distance. But this is perfect. I can read it fairly well. Um, there's a lot of words that are still untranslated. I was hoping that eventually we would have people join in who could tell us what some of those words meant more directly as we went through them. When me and the kids studied this, we did a lot of time of looking up different stuff, but often we would get so bogged down in it that we'd totally miss what we were reading. And I believe a lot of times we do the same thing with regular scriptures. We get so bogged down in trying to break apart all the individual words that we miss the whole concept of the story we're being told. Okay, and if I go back these Roman numerals, I think it's 45. Yeah, 45. This is to Angi again. Worship the Vasus, Angi, here, the Rudras, the Adityas, all who spring from Manu, those who know fair rights, who pour their blessings down. Angi, the gods who understand give ear unto the worshipper. Lord of red steeds, who love his song, bring thou those 33 gods. Ooh, here we have reference to 33, interesting. O Jatavedas, great in act, hearken thou to Proskanva's call. As Pre-Medha erst was heard, Atri, Virupa, Angiras, the sons of Pyramidha, skilled in lofty praise, have called for help. O Angi, who with effulgent flame is ruler of all holy rites, hear thou, invoked with holy oil, bountiful giver of rewards, these eulogies, whereby the sons of Kanva call thee to their aid. O Angi, loved by many, thou of fame most wondrous in their homes, men call on thee whose hair is flame, to be the bearer of their gifts. Wow, so it says his hair is flame. It also makes a reference to the fact that there was already holy oil. The Angi, best to find out wealth, most widely famous, quick to hear. Singers have established in their rights herald and ministering priest. Singers with Soma, pressed, have made thee, Angi, hasten to the feast. Great light to mortal worshipper, what time they bring the sacred gift. Good, bounteous son of strength, this day seat here on sacred grass the gods, who come at early morn, the host of heaven, to drink the Soma juice. Bring with joint invocations thou, O Angi, the celestial host. Here stands the Soma, bounteous gods drink this expressed air yesterday. "46. Now morning with her earliest light shines forth, dear daughter of the sky. High Aswans, I extol your praise. Sons of the sea, mighty to save, discoverers of riches, ye gods with deep thought who find out wealth. Your giant coursers hasten on over the region all in flames, when your car flies with winged steeds. He, liberal lover of the flood, lord of the house, the vigilant chiefs with oblations feeds you full. Ye have regarded unto us our hymns, Nasatyas, thinking of our words. Drink boldly of the Soma juice. Vouchsafe to us, O Aspen pair, such strength as with attendant light. May thou the darkness carry us. Come in the ship of these our hymns, to bear you to the hither shore. O Aspen, harness ye the car. The heaven's wide vessel is your own, on the flood shore your chariot waits. Drops with the hymn have been prepared. Canvas, the drops are in the heaven. The wealth is at the water's place. Where will ye manifest your form? Light came to lighten up the branch. The sun appeared as it were gold, and with its tongue shone forth the dark. The path of sacrifice was made to travel to the further goal. The road of heaven was manifest. That almost sounds like the opening of Jacob's ladder and those kind of descriptions. Like some type of cross-dimensional ship or some such is about to make a move. The singer of their praise awaits whatever grace the aspens give, who save when someone gladdens them. Ye dwellers with Visabon, come, auspicious as to Manu erst. Come to the Soma and our praise. O circumvent Asvens, dawn follows the brightness of your way. Approve with beams our solemn rites. Drink ye of our libations, grant protection, O ye Asvens twain, with aid which none may interrupt. I'm gonna throw in a little piece of stuff I've heard recently. There's people talking about how these are all songs, how they were taught to specific sect of people, and they had to spend their entire life learning how to intone each and every single word. And this hymn starts off with saying, use this hymn to bring our words to you. Then it describes a heavenly vessel flying across the skies, and then it describes their hymn opening up some type of portal. There's some who believe now that when these hymns hit certain vibrations or frequencies and they are done within certain places, that it can actually open these portals up, whether it be in time and space, whether it be between different places in this time and space. All these are, different, I won't say conspiracies, but different theories. That's what I'm looking for. All different kinds of theories on that. But having read that and seen it directly expressed, I thought it'd be interesting to say that that is one of the ideas people have about it. That there are even still doors now that if they would hit the right notes, they would be opening up. "46. Asvins. Where's it, please? My downfall. Asvins, for you who strengthen law, the sweetest soma hath been shed." Okay, for you who strengthen law, the sweetest soma hath been shed. Drink this expressed air yesterday, and give riches to him who offers it. Come, O ye Asvins, mounted on your triple car, three-seated, beautiful of form. To you at sacrifice the Kanvas send the prayer. Graciously listen to their call. O Aspen, ye who strengthen law, drink ye this sweetest soma juice. Born on your wealth, brought car, come ye this day to him who offers, ye of wondrous deeds. Omniscient aspens, on the thrice heaped grass, bedew with the sweet juice the sacrifice. The sons of Kanva, driving heavenward, call on you with draughts of soma juice outpoured. O aspens, with those aids wherewith ye guarded Kanva carefully, keep us, O hordes of splendor, drink the soma juice, ye strengtheners of holy law. O mighty ones, ye gave Sudras abundant food, brought on your treasure-laden car. So now vouchsafe to us the wealth which many crave, either from heaven or from the sea. The Satyas, whether ye be far away or close to Turvasa, borne on your lightly rolling chariot, come to us, together with the sunbeams come. So let your coursers, ornaments of sacrifice, bring you to our libations here, bestowing food on him who acts and gives aright. Sit, chiefs, upon the sacred grass. Come, O Nasatyas, on your car, decked with the sun-bright canopy, whereon ye ever bring wealth to the worshipper. to drink the Soma's pleasant juice. With lauds and song of praise we call them down to us, that they, most rich, may succor us. For ye have ever, in the Kanva's well-loved house, O Osman drunk the Soma juice. I guess that was 47. And this is 48. I made a mistake and didn't fill my cup up completely. Dawn. This is to dawn. Dawn on us with prosperity, O Susus, daughter of the sky. Dawn with great glory, goddess, lady of the light. Dawn, thou with riches, bounteous one. They, bringing steeds and kine, boon givers of all wealth, have oft sped forth to lighten us. O Usus, waken up for me the sounds of joy. Send us the riches of the great. Usus hath dawned, and now shall dawn, the goddess, driver forth of cars, which, as she cometh nigh, have fixed their thought on her, like glory seekers on the flood. Hear Kanva, chief of Kanva's race, sing forth aloud the glories of the heroes' names. Thee, princess, who, O Usus, as thou comest near, direct their thoughts to liberal gifts. Like a good matron, Usus comes carefully tending everything. Rousing all life, she stirs all creatures that have feet, and makes the birds of air fly up. She sends the busy forth, each man to his pursuit. Delay she knows not as she springs. O rich in opulence, after the dawning birds that have flown forth no longer rest. This dawn hath yoked her steeds afar, beyond the rising of the sun. Borne on 100 chariots, she, auspicious dawn, advances on her way to men. To meet her glance, all living creatures bend them down. Excellent one, she makes the light. Usus, the daughter of the sky, the opulent, shines foes and enmities away. Shine on us with thy radiant light, O Usus, daughter of the sky. Bring to us great store of high felicity, and bearing on our solemn rites. For in thee is each living creature's breath and life, when, excellent, thou dawnest forth. Born on thy lofty car, O Lady of the Light, hear, thou of wondrous wealth, our call. O Usus, win thyself the strength which among men is wonderful. Bring thou thereby the pious unto holy rites. Thou who as priests sing praise to thee. Bring from the firmament, O Usus, all the gods, that they may drink our Soma juice. And bring what thou art, vouchsafe us kind and steeds, strength meet for praise and hero might. May Usus, whose auspicious rays are seen resplendent round about, grant us great riches, fair in form of all good things, wealth which light labor may attain. Mighty one, whom the right who I'm not sure what that word is, whom the Rissus of old time invoke for their protection and their help. I think we're making a reference to an earlier people in the Kanvas, the Risis. O Usus graciously answered our songs of praise with bounty and with brilliant light. Usus, as thou with light today hast opened the twin doors of heaven, so grant thou us dwelling wide and free from foes. O goddess, give us food with kind. Bring us to wealth abundant, sent in every shape, to plentiful refreshing food, to all subduing splendor. Usus, mighty one, to strength, thou rich in spoil and wealth. "39. Is to dawn. And from above the sky's bright realm come Usus by auspicious ways. Let red steeds bear thee to the house of him who pours the Soma juice. The chariots which thou mountest, fair of shape, O Usus, light to move. Therewith, O daughter of the sky, aid men of noble fame today. Bright Usus, when thy times return, all quadrupeds and bipeds stir, and round about flocks winged birds from all the boundaries of heaven. Thou dawning with thy beams of light, illuminest all the radiant realm. Thee, as thou art, the convents, famed for wealth, have called the sacred songs. Morning, small tubes. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're feeling well. I've been using that CBD isolate for a couple weeks at a higher dose, and I did have one sick day this week, but it's the first one I've had in probably about 12, 13, 14 days, almost 2 weeks probably. So I'm seeing some pretty good results with it. Plus, where I was using real high dose for the first week, I've managed to cut back and still maintain the same benefits daily with the lower doses. So I'm guessing my body's getting adjusted to the proper CBD range. We're heading into him 50. I've had a couple bad ones now. Buddy, I pray a blessing over you that you find some healing this week. You find some relief and comfort, my friend. I know how it is. I'm heading into number 50. This is to Surya. His bright rays bear him aloft, the God who knowest all that lives. Surya, that all may look on him. The constellations pass away, like thieves together with their beams, before the all-beholding sun. His herald rays are seen afar, refulgent over the world of men, like flames of fire that burn and blaze. Swift and all beautiful art thou, O Surya, maker of the light, illuminating all the radiant realm. Thou goest to the host of gods, thou comest hither to mankind, hither all light to be beheld. With that same eye of thine, wherewith thou lookest brilliant Varuna upon the busy race of men, traversing sky and wide mid-air, thou meetest with thy beams our days. Sun, seeing all things that have birth. 7 bay steeds, harnessed to thy car, bear thee, O thou far-seeing one, God Surya with the radiant hair. Surya hath yoked the pure bright 7, the daughters of the car. With these, his own dear team he goeth forth, looking upon the loftier light, upon the darkness we have come. To Surya, God among the gods, the light that is most excellent. Rising this day, O rich in friends, ascending to the loftier heaven. Surya, remove my heart's disease. Take from me this my yellow hue. To parrots and to starlings let us give away my yellowness, or this my yellowness let us transfer to Hiratala trees. With all this conquering vigor, this Aditya hath gone up high, giving my foe into mine hand. Let me not be my foeman's prey. Interesting. Almost sounds like a reference yellow being to fear. I wonder if, even back then we had a similar color code to personality and stuff. All right, we've made it through number 50, and as soon as I get forwarded here to the next set, I will take a quick break and a smoke. Check in on the chat for a minute. Something sounds like it is moving around in my home. I think my cats must be going crazy. Hello? Checking to see if my daughter came home. She's not due home till this evening, but I had a cat this week who, by George, we thought the thing was sick. It was getting fat. Me and my daughter were both for sure that my wife had taken that cat and gotten it fixed along with many other cats. And here I'm falling asleep, and all of a sudden, a bright light's in my eyes, and my excited daughter is saying, "Dad, Dad, the cat does not have worms. She's having babies." So we have 3 kittens now. Delicious, thanks for joining me, buddy. Thanks for coming in. I'm taking a little break here between 50 and 51. I'm doing some reading. Greeny Houdini, good to see you. Good morning, buddy. And for all those of you who've just come in or come in since I started, pray that you have a blessed day today. That peace will find you wherever you're at, even in the eye of the storms. I have noticed a lot of people lately have been under some serious attacks by just some random dark forces. I pray that the light will break that, give us freedom, help us to be able to express ourselves in love to each other. Yeah, now I heard a door again. Nope, that time it's outside. Just got back from the Tractor Supply. In Tennessee, that used to be one of my favorite stores. Where I lived in Tennessee, there were 3 co-ops within about 11 miles. And each one of those co-ops pretty much runs the town and the area around them. So their prices are set based on what they know they can get out of you if you don't have to drive somewhere. Each one of the local towns was approximately 45 minutes away. There was 3 different local towns. And you had to go to those towns to either visit a Walmart or anything else. Home Depot. One town might have a Home Depot, another one might have Ace Hardware, another one might have, but you know, these towns are a little bit bigger in Tennessee. But the only place I could go that I knew that they would have my chicken food that was organic, that they would have all the medicines and stuff I needed for the animals, not priced, you know, outside of what was reasonable. If I needed any metal for any welding or anything like that, Tractor Supply was the store. And then later on, by George, they had good coveralls. You don't see it here now in what I wear on my stuff in the house, but I actually put coveralls on over my clothes anytime I leave the house. I've done that for many, many years. You ever watch any of my lives of me climbing through the different bayous around, or the banyan nurseries around our area here? I often wear them when I'm doing that. But yeah. But a couple of the, real quick, I'll go back to visiting that thing about the harmonics. Uh, from a cosmological or theological standpoint, yeah, this we read already, as well as the Bible, but it says that there was a creator who spoke, which is a harmonic frequency, which is the beginning of vibration. And he called into being light into darkness. So light has to be a vibration and all that stuff, as well as the physical thing. I mean, it's historically or scientifically proven now. But these vibrations evidently set into place, or the word set into place, a law, a structure, a form, a system. And within this system were placed administrators. people who are over each and every different aspect of the system. And we have from indication of scripture that the original fall of Satan was something on the order of like a star system or something like that. It says a great dragon. Um, so when you look at this picture that's being given, you have an interruption in those harmonics, something that has decided to do its own thing, create its own space within the harmonic that the creator created. Um, I believe that, and this is a personal belief, that many of these hymns did have within them vibrational codes. And these vibrational codes do a lot of stuff that we don't even understand to this day, that it is a lost art, a lost science. I mean, we spend a lot of time working on the physical part of it and haven't really looked into the vibrational part of it. And I think we're just starting to do that. We're finding some very interesting science in it. Cheers. And I let it be quiet for a minute on purpose. Oh, sometimes, even my own voice fills the air so much, you got to stop and have that quiet moment. Panels open up a different dynamic. You add voices, you add vibrations to the mix, and not all of us on the same vibration often find conflict in that. I am hoping that one day I will be able to do this as a live panel type thing. Um, I haven't got technologically there yet, but I think that adding that factor, if we could learn to do it as people of kindness toward each other, would be a good aspect, because it says that if you truly believe we're in the final days of this cycle, it says that truth is going to be scattered, broken up, divided amongst the whole earth. You're going to have to go here and there to get little pieces. Um, I had a pastor one time when I was a boy, and the only sermon I remember that man preaching after being under him for several years, and it was the only time in my life I didn't have my dad as my pastor. He actually spent about 4 years doing the associate pastor thing where he was second pastor. And I remember only one sermon. He said, we spend a life swimming through a sewer to obtain a teaspoon of truth. And every time I go to a place after that, and that sewer would begin to build up around me, I began to realize how true that statement is. The truth is hidden. It's hidden so that the foolish people consume themselves. It says the wise man hears it and he applies it to his life, and he has prosperity, he has growth, he has fruitfulness, he has connection, he finds peace. So the heart is there. If we get back to the baby, so to speak, and get back to where we can graciously speak to each other, graciously communicate, and get rid of the sewer around us, we'll be able to have more than just a little teaspoon of truth. Maybe we'll start gathering cups of truth, be able to see this war more clearly that's going on around us. Ben Green, thank you for coming in, buddy. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm taking a break right now between 50 and 51, recharging the batteries. I don't know if I ever believe these YouTube numbers, but the 4 of you listening, I appreciate it. Heading into 51. This one's to Indra. Oh, wow. Here we have the ram again. Make glad with songs that ram, who many men invoke. Worthy of songs of praise, Indra, the sea of wealth, whose gracious deeds for men spread like the heavens abroad. Sing praise to him, the sage, most liberal for our good. As aids the skillful, Rubus yearned to Indra strong to save, who fills mid-air, encompassed round with might, rushing in rapture, and o'er Satakratu came the gladdening shout that urged him on to victory. Thou hast disclosed the kind stall for the Angirasas, and made a way for Atri by 100 doors. On Vimata thou hast bestowed both food and wealth, making thy bolt dance in the sacrificers' fight. Thou hast enclosed the prisons of the waters. Thou hast in the mountains seized the treasure rich in gifts. When thou hast slain with might the dragon, Vitra, thou Indra, didst raise the sun in heaven for all to see. Okay, so here we have once again a reference back to the original fall, the battle between the dragon, and this is referring to Indra as being the one that fought the dragon. We also have reference here to the prisons of water, just previously. We have references in many scriptures to waters above and waters below. So we have here a record of that early battle once again with the dragon. With wondrous might, thou blewest enchanter fiends away. With powers celestial, those who called on thee in jest. Thou, hero-hearted, hast broken down Pipru's forts, and helped Rajasthan when the Daisyas were struck dead. Thou savest Kutsa, and Susna was smitten down. When Susna was smitten down, to Atagapa gave us Sambara for a prey, and mighty Buddha, thou trottest underfoot. Thou from of old wast born to strike the Deus dead, the Dacius dead. All power and might is closely gathered up in thee. Thy bounteous spirit joys in drinking soma juice. Known is the thunderbolt that lies within thine arms. Rend off therewith all manly prowess of our foe. Discern thou well Aryas and Dacius. Punishing the lawless, give them up to him whose grass is strewn. Be thou the sacrificer's strong encourager. All these thy deeds are my delight at festivals. Indra gives up the lawless to the pious man, destroying by the strong ones those who have no strength. Vamra, when glorified, destroyed the gathered piles of the still waxing great one, who would reach the heaven. So here we have an indication that his goal was to get into heaven, the dragon. The might which Usnana hath formed for thee, with might rends in the greatness, and with strength both worlds apart. O hero-souled, the steeds of Ata, yoked by thought, have carried thee to fame, while thou art filled with power. When Indra hath rejoiced with Kavya Usana, he mounts his steeds, who swerve wider and wider yet. The strong hath loosed his bolt with the swift rush of rain, and hath rent in pieces Susna's firm-built forts. And I'm going to make a reference here. This is a personal opinion. But these firm-built forts, look up Starfort and Starfort Foundation. There's some very interesting stuff about thousands of forts all over the earth from some pre-diluvian or antediluvian society. And then after the flood, people copying those same forts. Thou mountest on thy car amid strong Soma draughts. Saryata brought thee those in which thou hast delight. Indra, when thou art pleased with men whose Soma flows, thou risest to unchallenged glory in the sky. To old Kasavin, Soma oppressor, skilled in song, O Indra, thou didst give the useful Vir, Virya. Thou very wise wast Meena, Versanava's child. Those deeds of thine must all be told at Soma feast. The good man's refuge in his need is Indra, firm as a doorpost, praised among the Pajaras. Indra alone is lord of wealth, the giver, lover of riches, chariots, kine, and horses. To him the mighty one, the self-resplendent, verily strong and great, this praise is uttered. May we and all the heroes with the princes be in this fray, O Indra, in thy keeping. I keep noticing a reference here to heroes over and over, and something, I'm just going to throw this out there, but we have a repetition of heroes, or a group of beings which are half divine, half human. So it sounds like that even during this period of time, we had a group of beings that were half divine, half human. 52, to Indra. I glorify that Ram who finds the light of heaven, whose 100 nobly natured ones go forth with him. With hymns may I turn hither, Indra, to mine aid, the car which like a strong seed hasteth to the call. Like as a mountain on a firm basis, unremoved, he, thousandfold protector, waxed in mighty strength. When Indra, joying in the draughts of Soma juice, forced the clouds, slaying Vritra's stayer of their flow. For he stays and the stayers, spread o'er the laden cloud, rooted in light, strengthened in rapture by the wise. Indra with thought, with skilled activity I call, most liberal giver, for he states him with the juice. Whom those that flow in heaven on sacred grass, his own assistants, nobly natured, fill full like the sea. Beside that, Indra, when he smote down Vritra, stood his helper, straight in form, mighty, invincible. To him, as in wild joy he fought with him who stayed the rain. His helper sped like swift streams down a slope, when Indra, thunder-armed, made bold by Soma draughts, as Tirta cleaved Vala's fences, cleft him through. Splendor encompassed thee, forth shone thy warrior's might. The rain obstructor lay in mid-air's lowest deep. What time, O Indra, thou didst cast thy thunder down upon the jaws of Vritra, hard to be restrained. What we have here is we have a battle of two spiritual beings, one holding back the rain and the other one trying to make it rain. The hymns which magnify thee, Indra, reach to thee even as water brooks flow down and fill the lake. So he's saying Indra won and the water flows. Devastar gave yet more force to thine appropriate strength, and forged thy thunderbolt of overpowering might. Oh wow, I just had an interesting thought. It says in the Revelation that he gives the power to the 4 angels to hold back the winds. And he also gives power to some angels to do something with the waters. Oh, I'm going to have to look that up. Anyways, continue on. When Indra, thou whose power is linked with the base deeds, hast smitten Vritra, causing floods to flow for man, thou heldest in thine arms the metal thunderbolt, and seatest in the heaven the sun for all to see. In fear they raised the lofty, self-resplendent hymn, praise-giving and effectual, leading up to heaven. When Indra's helpers, fighting for the good of men, the Maruts, faithful to mankind, joyed in the light. Then heaven himself, the mighty, at that dragon's roar, reeled back in terror when Indra, thy thunderbolt, in thy wild joy of Soma, had struck off with the mighty, the head of Vritra, tyrant of the earth and of heaven. O Indra, were this earth extended forth tenfold, and men who dwell therein multiplied day by day. Still, hear thy conquering might. Magavan would be famed. It has waxed vast as heaven in majesty and power. Thou, bold of heart, in thine own native might, for help, upon the limits of this mid-air and of heaven, hast made the earth to be the pattern of thy strength. Embracing flood and light, thou reachest to the sky. Thou art the counterpart of earth, the master of lofty heaven, with all its mighty heroes. Thou hast filled all the region with thy greatness. Yea, of a truth, there is none other like thee, whose amplitude the heaven and earth have not attained, whose bounds the waters of mid-air have never reached. Not when in joy he fights the stare of the rain. Thou and none else has made all things in our order due. The Maruts sang thy praise in this encounter, and in thee all the deities delighted. What time thou, Indra, with the spiky weapon, thy deadly bolt smotest the face of Vritra. I find it interesting that it describes this thunderbolt as a metal rod, similar to the description of Zeus's rod, also throwing a thunderbolt. Makes me wonder if, like, a technology wasn't hidden somewhere that maybe the later gods, so to speak, came across as well. Alrighty, happiness without guilt. Hog, thanks for joining in this morning, brother. I had another phone call before bed last night. I'll get with you later about that. We've got some more news. Growlicious, Greeting Hog, and Green Houdini. Is it too early to drink a beer? The only thing I know it says is to not drink to excess. So if you can keep control of it all day, then it's never too early to drink anything. Well, when I was younger, if I started drinking, I wasn't done drinking until I reached excess. And if that started at 10 o'clock, that would often reach excess somewhere around 1 in the afternoon. If that started at 1 o'clock, that would sometime reach somewhere around 8 or 9 at night. You get the picture of what I'm saying. So I didn't know how to keep that control. I now only drink alcohol very infrequently. We've been back and forth with the issue of alcohol in my family. My wife, she drinks. She can't ever stop. We've had several issues with her having problems with that. So we both quit drinking. And I maintained that for a number of years until I found out that she didn't actually quit. She was doing it in secret. And so for us, it's always been best not to even have it in the house. But now that she's gone, I will admit I have on a few afternoons had one here and there, and it has lightened my mood when I've been too heavy in the head. However, it has also interfered with my gut, so it's not something I can do comfortably, and maybe that's just a good clue I'm not supposed to. Oh, I'll take another Coke here. Heading into 53, once again to Indra. I think we can often help identify who these different entities are by their descriptions, in a way, because we often see the same pattern even in the later texts with the ram, the snake, the goat, well, the goat being the ram, the sheep. No, actually, ram's a male sheep. We have the goat and the ram, actually two different beings. And then we see it historically put into place as well, as the picture repeats through in scripture, through what we saw in our current history with the different empires that came throughout history corresponding to these different animals. And I think it's all really tied together. 53. Indra. We will present fair praise unto the Mighty One, our hymns to Indra, in Visvanda's dwelling place. For he hath ne'er found wealth in those who seem to sleep. Those who give wealth to men accept no paltry praise. Giver of horses, Indra, giver thou of kine, giver of barley, thou art Lord, and guard of wealth, man's helper from of old, not disappointing hope, friend of our friends, to thee as such we sing this praise. Indra, most splendid, powerful, rich in mighty deeds, this treasure spread around is known to be thine own. Gather therefrom, O conqueror, to bring to us. Fail not the hope of him who loves and sings to thee. Well pleased with these bright flames, and with these soma drops, take thou away our poverty with seeds and kind. With Indra scattering the Dasu through these drops, freed from their hate, may we obtain abundant food. Let us obtain, O Indra, plenteous wealth and food, with strength exceeding glorious, shining to the sky. May we obtain the goddess Providence, the strength of heroes, special source of cattle, rich in steeds. These are libations, strength inspiring, soma drops, gladdening thee in the fight with Virtra, hero lord. What time thou slewest for the singer, with trim grass 10,000 Virtras, thou resistest in thy might. Thou goest on from fight to fight intrepidly, destroying castle after castle, here with strength. Thou Indra with thy friend, who makes the foe bow down, slewest from far away the guileful Namuchi. Thou hast struck down in death Karanja, Paranaya, and Ethgiphus in Atithaga's very glorious going forth. Unyielding, when Rizvan compassed them with siege, thou hast destroyed the 100 forts of Vangrida. With all outstripping chariot wheel, O Indra, thou far famed, hast overthrown the twice 10 kings of men. With 60,000, 99 followers, who came in arms to fight with friendless my tongue's getting tied up this morning. Susravas. Thou hast protected Susravas with succor, and Turvayana with thine aid, O Indra. Thou madest Kutsya and Ethgava, Uya, subject unto this king, the young, the mighty. May we, protected by the gods hereafter, remain thy very prosperous friends, O Indra. Thee we extol, enjoying thou thy favor life, long and joyful, and with stores of heroes. And once again, we have a description of his heavenly wheel, destroying many castles. It seems that even though men join in this fight, kind of like nowadays, we didn't exactly have access to these different crafts at that point in time. And that makes it seem that if our government has managed to, say, strike down a few of these heroes or gods or whatever out of the sky and have managed to capture one of their crafts, what does it mean if mankind is going to have some of their technology? Is that not another step for some believed up and for others to be a step we believe down? 54. Indra. Urge us not, Magavan, to this distressful fight, for none may comprehend the limit of thy strength. Thou with fierce shout hast made the woods and rivers roar. Did not men run in crowds together in their fear? Sing hymns of praise to Sakra, Lord of power and might. Laud thou and magnify Indra, who heareth thee? Who with his daring might, a bull exceeding strong in strength, maketh him master of the heaven and earth? Here we have Soccer referred to as the bull. Sing forth to lofty Deus a strength bestowing song. The bold, who resolute mind hath independent sway. High glory hath the Asura, compact of strength, drawn on by two bay steeds. A bull, a car is he. The ridges of the lofty heaven thou madest shake. Thou daring of thy smotest through the Sambara. When bold with gladdening juice thou warst with thy bolt, sharp and two-edged against the banded sorcerers. When with a roar that fills the woods thou forcest down on wind's head the stores which Usaga kept confined. Who shall have power to stay thee firm and eager, sold from doing this day what thou of old hast done? And I'm going to make a real quick note here that we have reference to once again, space chariots, bolts of electricity. This one's actually referred to sharp as a two-edged sword. We find things elsewhere that are referred as two-edged swords. One thing I want to show is that this two-edged sword is aimed against a banded sorcerers. Um, they're crying out for this god to defend the good against the evil, and we have reference here to sorcerers. So I just want to make a point out that even in the earlier battles, we have decided lines drawn, and that sorcery was one of the things that the angels or these superior beings fought against. When with the roar thou fills the wood, thou forcest down the wind's head, the stores which Usuga kept confined. Who shall have power to stay thee firm and eager souled from doing still this day what thou of old hast done? Thou helpest Narya, Turvasa, and Yuda, or Yadu, and Vaya's son, Turviti, and Satyokratu. Thou helpest horse and car in final battle. Thou breakest down the 99 castles. A hero lord is he, king of a mighty folk, who offers free oblations and promotes the law, who, with a bounteous gurgling, welcomes hymns of praise. For him flows down the abundant stream below the sky. His power is matchless, matchless is his wisdom. Chief through their work be some who drink the Soma, those Indra who increase the lordly power, the firm heroic strength of thee the giver. Therefore for thee are these abundant breakers, Indra's drink, stone-pressed juices held in ladles. Quaff them and satisfy therewith thy longing, then fix thy mind upon bestowing treasure. There darkness stood, the vault that stayed the water's flow. In Vitra's hollow side the rain cloud lay concealed. But Indra smote the rivers which the obstructor stayed, flood flowing after flood down steep declivities. So give us Indra bliss increasing glory, give us great sway and strength that conquers people, preserve our healthy patrons, save our princess, vouchsafe us wealth and food with noble offspring. I want to show here a real quick repeat of this that I'm seeing. The serpent had the waters within it, and it released its blood after them, but it went into great holes. We have in Revelation when the abomination of desolation occurs, we have the great serpent comes after the woman who is representative, most believe, of Israel, who is chased into the desert, and out of the mouth of the serpent comes a great flood after the woman, at which time the earth opens its mouth and swallows the flood, thus protecting the woman. So here we have the same story repeated over again. Very interesting. I hope I'm coming back. Hello, hello. Can you see me now? I hope that means I've come back live. Right. Yep, yep. Okay, I can pause myself. Cheers, Hillbilly Hydro Grower. Came in during my glitch this week. I did this at the beginning of the show, and I've done it now, and I have identified the problem. My uh, my computer plugs in by a Ethernet cable, and it has gotten hooked up by the chair arm, and I have managed to yank it out. And it seems to have a little issue wanting to stay solid now. But I'm back on. I appreciate the people who are here joined with me. Thanks for hanging on, even though I blacked out. I don't know where to go. It's another one of those moments of peace and quiet. Somebody need to think for a minute. And after I gave that 5-minute speech, nobody heard or saw. I'll just give a brief recap. I was trying to figure out what was going on. Oh, I appreciate Hog throwing that up there in the chat. I don't know where y'all lost me at. Was I still reading the text before, or had I come to the end of it? I hope I'd finished through the text. We're heading into 56. This one again is to Indra. For this man's full libations held in ladles, he hath roused him, eager as a horse to meet the mare. He stays his golden car, yoked with bay horses, swift, and drinks the soma juice, which strengthens for great deeds. To him the guidance following songs of praise flow full, as those who seek gain go in company to the flood. To him the Lord of power, the holy synod's might, as to a hill with speed ascending the loving ones. Victorious, great is he, in manly battle shines, unstained with dust his might, as shines a mountain peak, wherewith the iron one, fierce, aim against the strong, enraptured, fettered, wily Shushna fast in bonds. Fettered wily Shushna fast in bonds. Okay. When strength the goddess, made more strong for help by thee, waits upon Indra as the sun attends the dawn, then he who with his might unflinching kills the gloom, stirs up the dust aloft, with joy and triumphing. When thou with might, upon the framework of the heaven, dost fix across the air's region firmly unremoved, in the light winning war, Indra enraptures joy. Thou smotest Virtue dead, and broughtest floods of rain. Thou with thy might didst grasp the holder up of heaven. Thou who art mighty also in the seats of earth. Thou gladdened by the juice hast set the waters free, and broke virtuous stony fences through and through. Broke virtuous stony fences. It sounds like it might have some interesting connotations I should look up. "57 to Indra." Sounds like these are all pretty much about that same original battle between him and the serpent. To him, most liberal, lofty lord of lofty wealth, verily powerful and strong, I bring my hymn, whose chickless bounty, as of waters down a slope, is spread abroad for all that live, to give them strength. Now all this world for worship shall come after thee, the offerer's libations like floods to the depth. When the well-loved one seems to rest upon the hill, the thunderbolt of Indra, shatterer, rod of gold. To him the terrible, most meet for lofty praise, like bright dawn. Now bring gifts with reverence in this rite, whose being for renown, yea, Indra power and light, have been created, like bay steeds to move with speed. Thine Indra, praised by many, excellently rich, are we who trusting in thy help draw near to thee. Lover of praise, none else but thou receives our laud. As earth loves all her creatures, love thou this our hymn. Great is thy power, O Indra, we are thine. Fulfill, O Madhavan, the wish of this thy worshipper. After thee lofty heaven hath measured out its strength. To thee and to thy power this earth hath bowed itself. Okay, after thee lofty heaven hath measured out its strength. Thou who hast thunder for thy weapon, with thy bolt hast shattered into pieces this broad massive cloud. Thou hast sent down the obstructed floods, that they may flow. Thou hast thine own forever all victorious might. '58 to Angi. Ne'er waxeth faint the immortal, son of strength, since he, the herald, hath become Vivasan's messenger. On paths most excellent he measured out mid-air. He with oblation calls to service of the gods. Never decaying, seizing his appropriate food, rapidly, eagerly through the dry wood he spreads. His back, as he is sprinkled, glistens like a horse. Loud hath he roared and shouted like the heights of heaven. Set high in place o'er all that Vasus, Rudras do, immortal, lord of riches, seated as high priest, hastening like a car to men, to those who live, the god without delay gives boons to be desired. Urged by the wind be spread through dry wood as he lists, armed with his tongues for sickles, with a mighty roar. Black is thy path, Angi, changeless, with glittering waves. Then like a bull thou rushest eager to the trees, with teeth of flame, wind-driven, through the wood he speeds, triumphant like a bull among the herds of cows, with bright strength roaming to everlasting air, things fixed, things moving quake before him as he flies. The Burgess established thee among mankind for men, like a treasure, beauteous, easy to invoke. The Angi as a herald and choice-worthy guest, as an auspicious friend to the celestial race. Angi, the seven tongues, deft sacrificer, him whom the priests elect as solemn worship. The herald messenger of all Vasus, I serve with dainty foods, I ask for riches. So here he refers to Angi as being a friend to the celestial race. So there's obviously other races that are apart from even these. And the description he gives of like his path, it sounds like he's flying in some kind of wind-driven, fire-driven, almost like a plane, like a jet or something over the forest. It's kind of what it sounds like. Uh, with his two steeds, his two motors shooting flames out behind them, roaring, making the earth shake underneath it as he hits Mach speed. His great metal thunderbolts that bring fire to death to his enemies. Grant, son of strength, thou rich in friends, a refuge without a flaw this day to us thy praisers. O Angi, son of strength, with forts of iron, preserve thou from distress the man who lauds thee. Be thou a refuge, bright one, to the singer, a shelter, bounteous Lord to those who worship. Preserve the singer from distress, O Angi. May he, enriched with prayer, come soon and early. Thanks for visiting today, Growlicious. You have a blessed day, buddy. I hope I didn't miss anybody else taking off. Okay, looks like we're still hanging in there. Yeah, Brolicious, I hope you get to feeling better. Have some good rest this afternoon. And we're looking at 59, Angi. The other fires are, verily, thy branches. The immortals all rejoice in thee, O Angi. Sinner art thou, Vegvagnara of the people, sustaining men like a deep-founded pillar. The forehead of the sky, earth's sinner. Angi became the messenger of earth and heaven. Vaisvanara, the deities produced thee, a god to be a light unto the Arya. As in the sun, firm rays are set forever. Treasures are in the Vaisvarana in Angi. Of all the riches in the hills, the waters, the herbs, among mankind, thou art the sovereign. As the great world halves, so are their sons' praises. Skilled as a man to act is he the herald. Vaisvarna, celestial, truly mighty, most manly one, hath many a youthful consort. It says he's a celestial. I'm going to stop here for a second because I just thought of something that might be interesting. As the great world halves, as it splits in two, so are their sons' words to them. Uh, there seems to be a geologic record that the Earth was a Pangea, and of course now we're in two halves. I find that interesting because earlier in one of the parts I was reading, it said that as the Earth expanded times 10, well, if this ball was smaller and then it expanded, it would cleave the Earth in two, and that was all part of this battle that's being described to us right here and now. So we're talking about weapons big enough to destroy or to split or to cause some kind of interaction within the Earth. That's kind of crazy. Of course, it is referring to him as being in contact with the Celestials, or the ones who, quote unquote, are Earth's moons, suns. Even the lofty heaven, O Vedas Vesvanara, hath not attained thy greatness. Thou art the king of lands where men are settled. Thou hast brought comfort to the gods in battle. Now will I tell the greatness of the hero whom Pararti's sons follow as Vratra's slayer. Angi Vaisvanara struck down the Desu, cleaved Sambara through, and shattered down his fences. Vaisvanara, dwelling by his might with all men, far shining, holy mid the Bharavajas, lauded excellent with 100 praises by Parunitha, son of Satyavani. I have a feeling if I really looked into that, there is some serious stuff written down in there. But it's not my aim to get caught up in the minutiae. 49. LX. Or 60. LX. Angi. Into where some goodly treasure. Mattress of Matrisvan. Brought as a gift the glorious priest to Brugu, banner of sacrifice, the good protector, child of two births, the swiftly moving envoy. Both gods and men obey this ruler's order. Gods who are worshipped, men who yearn and worship. Here, let me back that up. As 'twere some goodly treasure, Matrisvan brought as a gift the glorious priest to Brugu, banner of sacrifice, the good protector, child of two births, the swiftly moving envoy. It's describing Because both gods and men obey this ruler's order. Gods who are worshipped and men who yearn and worship. As priest, he takes his seat ere breaking of morning, house lord, adorable with men, ordainer. May our fair praise, heart-born, more recent, reach him whose tongue, and at his birth, is sweet as honey, whom mortal priests, men with their strong endeavor, supplied with dainty viands, have created. Good to mankind, and yearning purifier hath among men been placed as priest choice worthy. May Angi be our friend, lord of the household, protector of the riches in the dwelling. As such, we Gautmas with hymns extol thee, O Angi, as the guardian lord of riches, decking thee like a horse, the swift prize winner. May he, enriched with prayer, come soon and early. I'm going to have to try to unpack 60 later sometime on my own. Get myself a little late. Maltarisban is referred to as being of two births, which is an interesting picture that gets repeated in several different belief systems. And it refers to him as a ruler that even the gods obey. He has to be of the celestial order. We have completed through another set, and we're looking at 1146. Let me pop ahead here and see what's coming up next. Maybe 61. Take a peek through here and see how long this little segment is. For a straight read, it would go pretty quick. Several short ones. Since we're between segments, I'll take another little break and take a vote. There seems to be kind of a little storyline going here from one to the next. Now, these texts are obviously written by those that are the worshipers in regards to the ones they are worshiping. And so we have a lot of the worshipers' desires mixed in with the them giving the myth out in bits and pieces. And I was thinking somewhere the whole story was written out directly, or somebody had gone and put them all together. But the references these are making are in the Vedas are to that original creation myth, that battle of the celestial powers. And we have the same powers at war with each other. The ram. Oh, I just realized something. The cherub has a ram head, a bull head, an eagle head, and a human head. So a cherub has the four faces that are being described right here. Him coming as the ram, as the bull. Hasn't had anything about the eagle, though. Some say that's an ibis. I don't know. Well, of course, we have lots of references to him flying in this strong, swift chariot. Just thinking out loud here as I'm going. Good morning, Anthro. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you stopping. I'm in the rig betas, taking a break now here between 60 and 61. We've been listening to the story of a great battle that occurred between the Celestials and the gods. And a lot of different descriptions of what sounds like different types of flying machines, different types of weapons that have a physical nature as well as a seeming spiritual nature to them. Doing all right today, Anthro? I pray that you're blessed with peace and you prosper in everything you do today. Thanks for coming in. I do appreciate it. We're at 11:50. I did manage to start somewhat on time today, even though I've blacked out twice. I will be seeking a new cable this week. I am trying to get my work around this house done. My aim is to get out west to grow. I had a plan in place. I thought I was going to be helping a friend move out west and in exchange for some use of some property there. But that friend has decided to move to a state that does not allow growing. And so since then, I've had a couple other doors that have been presented to me. So I'm working hard at getting my project around here done. Spending a lot of time doing mold remediation and rebuilding a master shower so that while I'm gone, my daughter will be able to use the room of the house. But I'm still aiming to get out of here, hopefully before the Passover season, because I do have a sheep and a goat on my property in Tennessee that I would love to have one of them for the Passover. That's, of course, the 19th. Plus, I'd kind of like to be out in the peace and quiet of the farm, away from all the yah-yah. I will be moving into the same neighborhood where my wife publicly disgraced me in front of all of my peers. Of course, through that, I found out who my true friends were that live in the area and have remained in contact with those people. And we'll be visiting all my friends while I'm there. And I did not stand up and defend myself because I did allow it to be a sifting for me. So I have a feeling I will be doing some defending of myself when I get back into the area. I think I've already seen a few preliminary attacks on that. We'll see how it goes. But my ultimate aim is to get out west to find a piece of property to grow enough hemp and cannabis to supply a health healing dose for me and my sister and my daughter. My daughter and my sister both also have the same issues I have with the guts. My sister is exceeded mine. She's 7 years younger, but she's already had like feet of her guts cut out. If they have to cut more of hers out, she may have to have external devices, and I'd really like to see and be able to hopefully stem that, because there's been a lot of really good results that I've heard. I pray those same results for us as well as we go into this venture. I've done the test and found that it does work. It works very well. In this past week, I've done more work than I've done in several years. Kind of overdid myself a little bit. Made myself sick one day. But one day this week, I worked 15 straight hours. And I haven't done that since probably 2013 or 14, maybe. That was kind of when my real decline began. Um, and I have not had this level of strength since that time. Anybody got any questions about anything we've been chit-chatting about, or any ideas, or want to throw up some modern ideas that might play into this stuff as to what's going on now or anything? Those are the ones that melt. Pain just drops right out your feet into the ground. That's the euphoria people fear. It lasts for a brief second. It's a brief second that relieves you from pain, discomfort that you felt that hasn't been gone for a long time. I know this is going to sound funny, but those are the ones I thank the Creator for. It's a complete relief. Feel human again for a minute. Happiness without guilt. You're obsessing a bit. I understand that, my friend. I spent last night making a list in my head that I should have wrote down of all the things I wanted to accomplish before I left here. And all the little pieces attached to each one of those things, and realized I had more things scheduled than I had time for, and began to eliminate some of that list. Not hard to get stuck in those loops, and you start to look for ways of breaking that loop. Kind of like when I got busy in my head earlier and had to take that minute of quietness, break that loop off in my head. We're looking at noontime. Yep. I did manage to go back to sleep last night. I wasn't up for very long, about 1:30 to about 2:15 or so. But I did manage to eliminate enough things to relieve some of my mental pressure. And if there's time or I'm doing something and they get thrown back in, okay. If not, I'm not going to stress them. I think I am going to go ahead and read through one more little section here today. Looking at 61, Indra. Even to him, swift, strong, and high, exalted, I bring my song of praise and daily viands. My thought to him resistless, praise deserving, prayers offered most especially to Indra. Praise like oblation I present, and utter aloud my song, my fair hymn to the victor. For Indra, who is Lord of old, the singers have decked their lauds with heart and mind and spirit. To him then with my lips, mine adoration, winning heaven's light most excellent I offer, magnify with songs of invocation, and with fair hymns of the Lord, most bounteous giver. Even for him I frame my laud, as fashions the right a chariot for the man who needs it. Praises to him who gladly hears our praises, a hymn well formed, all moving to wise Indra. So with my tongue I deck, to please that Indra my hymn, as 'twere a horse through love of glory, to reverence the hero, bounteous giver, famed far and wide, destroyer of the castles. Even for him has Svar forged the thunder, most deftly wrought, celestial for the battle, wherewith he reached the vital parts of Virtua, striking the vast, the mighty with the striker. So here again we have another clue that the celestial to the star is the one who forged the thunder, or the device he used. As soon as, at libations of his mother, great Vishnu had drunk up the draught, he plundered, the dainty cates and cooked mess, but one stronger fixed the wild boar shooting through the mountain. To him, to Indra, when he slew the dragon, the dames too, consorts of the Goda, wove praises. The mighty heaven and earth hath he encompassed. Thy greatness heaven and earth combined exceed not. Yea, of a truth, his magnitude surpasses the magnitude of earth, mid-air and heaven. Indra, approved by all men, self-resplendent, waxed in his home, loud voiced and strong for battle. Through his own strength, Indra, with a bolt of a thunder-cut piece, mealed Vrtra, dryer up of waters. He let the floods go free, like cows imprisoned for glory, with a heart inclined to bounty. The rivers played through his impetuous splendor, since with his bolts he compassed them on all sides. Using his mighty and favoring him who worshipped, he made a ford victorious for Terviti. And not only did he loose all the waters, but he's using this force field or this lightning force to hold it into place and guide it over the lands of those who have been righteous. So we have here also some type of selection of the righteous and the unrighteous at this time as well. Vast with thine ample power, with eager movement, against this Vrtra cast thy bolt of thunder. Rend thou his joints as of an ox dissevered, with bolt oblique, that floods of rains may follow. Sing with new louds his exploits wrought aforetime, the deeds of him, yea, him who moveth swiftly. When hurling forth his weapons in battle, he with impetuous wrath lays low the foeman. When he comes forth the firm, set mountains and the whole heaven and earth tremble for terror. May Nodhus, ever praising the protection of that dear friend, gain quickly strength heroic. Notice. Now unto him of these things hath been given, that he who rules o'er and o'er much electeth. Indra hath helped as Tasa, some oppressor, contending in the race of steeds with Sarya. Thus to thee, Indra, yoker of bay coursers, the Gotmas have brought their prayers to please thee. Bestow upon them thought, decked with all beauty. May he, enriched with prayer, come soon and early. Hmm. 62, Indra. Like Ingra's a gladdening laud, we ponder to him who loveth song, exceeding mighty. Let us sing glory to the far-famed hero, who must be praised with fair hymns by the singer. Unto the great bring ye great adoration, a chant with praise to him exceeding mighty, through whom our sires, Angirasas, singing praises and knowing well the places, found the cattle. When Indras and the Angazars desired it, Sarama found provision for her offspring. Bahaspati cleft the mountain, found the cattle, and the heroes shouted with the kine in triumph. Mid shout, loud shout in war, with the Navagas, 7 singers hast thou heavenly rent the mountains. Thou hast, with speeders, with the sagas, Indara Sakara, with thunder rent obstructive Vala. So once again, he's using, sounds like he's using some kind of, harmonic weapon. With 7 singers hast thou rent the mountain. Um, we have the 7 blasts that rent Jericho. Uh, we have harmonics related there too. And then thou with speeders, we know speeders and the little crafts. And with his planes and his thunderbolts, he rent Vala. Praised by Angrissus, thou foe destroyer hast with the dawn. Sun rays dispelled the darkness. Thou Indras hast spread out the earth's high ridges, and firmly fixed the region under heaven. This is the deed most worthy of all honor, the fairest marvel of the wonder worker, that nigh, where heaven bends down, he made 4 rivers flow full with waves that carry down sweet water.
Here we have the four original rivers upon the earth. Unwearied, one with lauding hymns, he parted of old the ancient pair, united ever. In highest sky, like Bhaga, he, the doer of marvels, set both dames and earth and heaven. Still born afresh, young dames, each in her manner, unlike in hue, the pair in alteration round heaven and earth, from ancient time have travelled. Night with her dark limbs, dawn with limbs of splendor. Well, it sounds like he's describing the beginning of the sun and the moon, but I'm not 100% sure. Rich in good actions, skilled in operation, the sun with the might maintains his perfect friendship. Thou in the raw cows, black of hue or ruddy, stores the right milk, glossy white in color. Their paths of old connected, rest uninjured. They with great might preserve the immortal statutes. For many thousand holy works the sisters wait on the haughty Lord like wives and matrons. Thoughts ancient, seeking wealth with adoration, with newest lauds have sped to thee, Almighty. As yearning wives cleave to their yearning husband, so cleave our hymns to thee, O Lord most potent. Strong God, the riches which thy hands have holden from days of old have perished not nor wasted. Splendid art thou, O Indra, wise, unbending, strengthening us with might, O Lord of power. O mighty Indra, God the sun Modhas, hath fashioned this new prayer to thee eternal. Sure leader, yoker of the tawny coursers, may he, enriched with prayer, come soon and early. 63. Indra. Thou art the mighty one. When born, O Indra, with power thou terrifieth earth and heaven. When, in their fear of thee, all firm-set mountains and monstrous creatures shook like dust before thee. When thy two wandering bays thou drawest hither, thy praiser laid within thy arms the thunder, wherewith, O much invoked, in will resistless, thou smitest foemen down in many a castle. Faithful art thou, these thou defiest, Indra. Thou art the ruthless lord, heroic victor. Thou by his side, for young and glorious Kutsa, with steed and car in battle slewest Susna, that, as a friend, thou furtherest, O Indra, when the thunder when the thunderer strong in act, there's that thunder car, strong in act, thou crushest Victra. I guess it's thunderer. Virtra. When hero, thou great souled, with easy conquest, did rend the Dacians in their distant dwelling. This doest thou, and art not harmed, O Indra, and in the anger of the strongest mortal. Lay thou the race course open for our horses, as with a club slay thunder-armed our foemen. Hence, men invoke thee, Indra, in the tumult of battle, in the light-bestowing conflict. This aid of thine, O godlike one, was ever to be implored in deeds of mighty combat, of might in combat. Warring for Peruksa thou, O Indra, thunder-armed, I breakest down the seven castles. Easily pursuedest like grass didst rend them, and out of need king broughtest gain to Paru. O Indra, God who movest round about us, feed us with berry food plenteous as water, food wherewithal, O hero, thou bestowest vigor itself to flow to us forever. Prayers have been made by Gotmas, O Indra, addressed to thee, with laud for thy bay horses. Bring us in noble shape abundant riches. May he, enriched with power, come soon and early. 64. Maruts. Bring for the manly host, wise and majestical, O Notice. For the Maruts bring thou a pure gift. I deck my songs as one deft-handed. Wise in mind prepares the water that hath power in solemn rites. They spring to birth, the lofty ones, the bulls of heaven, divine, the use of Rudra, free from spot and stain. The purifiers, shining brightly even as suns, awful of forms like giants, scattering raindrops down. Oh wow, it describes these beings like giants. Young Rudras, demon slayers, never growing old, they have waxed, even as mountains irresistible. They make all beings tremble with their mighty strength, even the very strongest, both of earth and heaven. With glittering ornaments they deck them forth for show. For beauty on their breasts they bind their chains of gold. The lances on their shoulders pound to pieces. They were born together of themselves, the men of heaven. Loud roarers given strength, devourers of the foe. They make the winds, they make the lightnings with their powers. The restless shakers drain the udders of the sky, and ever wandering round fill the earth full with milk. The bounteous Maruts, with the fatness dropping milk, fill full the waters which avail in solemn rites. They lead as 'twere the strong horse forth, that it may rain. They milk the thundering, the never failing spring. Mighty with wondrous power and marvelous bright, self strong like mountains, you glide swiftly on your way. Like the wild elephants, you eat the forests up, when you assume your strength among the bright red flames. Sounds like they're consuming the woods around them. Exceeding wise, they roar like lions mighty. They all possessing are beauteous as antelopes, stirring the darkness with lances and spotted deer, combined as priest with serpent's fury through their might. Heroes who march in companies, befriending man with serpent's ire, through strength you greet the earth and heaven. Upon the seats, O Maruts, of your chariots, upon the cars stands lightning, visible as light. This is interesting. Lord of all riches, dwelling in the home of wealth, endowed with the mighty vigor, singers loud of voice, heroes of powers infinite, armed with strong men's rings, the archers, they have laid the arrow on their arms. They who with golden fellies make the rain increase, drive forward the big clouds like wanderers on the way. Self-moving, brisk, unwearied, they overthrow the firm. The Maruts with bright lances make all things to reel. The progeny of Rudra, we invoke with prayer, the brisk, the bright, the worshipful, the active ones. To the strong band of Maruts cleave for happiness, the chasers of the sky, impetuous, vigorous. Maruts, the man whom ye have guarded with your help, he verily in strength surpasseth all mankind. Spoil his steeds he gaineth, treasure with his men. He winneth honorable strength and prospereth. O Maruts, to the worshippers, your glorious strength invincible in battle, brilliant, bringing wealth, praiseworthy, known to all men. May we foster well during the 100 winters, son and progeny. Will ye then, O ye Maruts, grant us riches, durable, rich in men, defying onslaught, 100,000-fold ever increasing? May he enrich with prayer come soon and early. I'm going to have to go back and study about the serpents and the serpent's strength in here as to which force they were referring to. I don't remember that reference from before. I'm going to see what you got to say here, Anthro. I started breakfast bars, just driving the enemy back. Has honey, cherries, and other good stuff. Indra the gods would be pleased. Actually, we are to take care of our temple with good stuff. And it's my personal belief that my abuse of the things that were good for me and my intaking of so much poison indiscriminately is the reason for my ill health. I spent a period of time living on the farm, growing organically and pretty much eating my own food for a while. And my health stayed stable for the longest time until that was interrupted. That pattern was interrupted when I had to start going on the road to work, and I wasn't able to eat my food at home all the time, and I never got back into having a full-time garden since then. And that's been 2010, 2012. So once again, one of my goals. Healthy food does make healthy temples, and we are a temple. 65, Angi. One-minded wise, they track thee like a thief lurking in a dark cave with a stolen cow. Thee claiming worship, bearing it to gods. There nigh to thee sate all the holy ones. The gods approached the ways of the holy law. There was a gathering vast as heaven itself. The waters feed with praise the growing babe, born nobly in the womb, the seed of law. Oh wow, we have here the story of the birth of the law of the word. Like grateful food, like some wide dwelling place, like the fruit-bearing hill, a wholesome stream. Like a steed urged to run in swift career, rushing like Sindhu, who may check his course. Kin as a brother to his sister floods, he cats the wood as a king eats the rich. When through the forest, urged by wind, he spreads, verily Angi shears the hair of earth. Like a swan sitting in the floods he pants, wisest in mind mid men he wakes at morn. A sage like Soma, sprung from law, he grew like some young creature, mighty, shining far. 66. Numerically, that's interesting. Angi. Like the sun's glance, like wealth of varied sort, like breath which is life, like one's own sun, like a swift bird, a cow who yields her milk, pure and refulgent to the wood he speeds. He offers safety like a pleasant home, like ripened corn, the conqueror of men, like a seer lauding, famed among the folk, like a steed friendly, he vouchsafes his power, with flame insatiate, like eternal might, caring for each one like a dame at home. Bright with it he shines forth, whitish, mid the folk, like a car gold-decked thundering to the fight. He strikes with terror like a dart shot forth, and like an archer's arrow tipped with flame. Master of present and of future life, the maiden's lover and the matron's lord. To him lead all your ways. May we attain the kindled God as cows their home at eve. He drives the flames below as floods their swell. The rays rise up to the fair place of heaven. So here we have another description of him being like gold and whitish and shining as he goes upon the earth. We hear a lot of these descriptions of what they have later been referred to as the sons of God and some kind of obvious uh, illumination they produce themselves. Um, 67, Angi, victorious in the wood, friend among men, ever he claims obedience as a king, gracious like peace, blessing like mental power. Priest was he, offering bearer, full of thought. He, bearing in his hand all manly might, crouched in the cavern, struck the gods with fear. Men filled with understanding find him there. When they have sting prayers formed within their heart. He, like the unborn, holds the broad earth up, and with effective utterance fix the sky. O Angi, guard the spots which cattle love. Thou, life of all, hast gone from lair to lair. Whoso hath known him dwelling in his lair, and hath approached the stream of holy law, they who release him, paying sacred rites, truly to such doth he announce great wealth. He who grows mightily in herbs, within each fruitful mother and each babe she bears, wise, life of all men, in water's home. For him have sages built, as it twere a seat. Oh wow. Here he's hiding within the earth. Angi, 68. Comingling, restless, he ascends the sky, unveiling nights and all that stands or moves. As he, the sole God, is preeminent in greatness among all the other gods. All men are joyful in thy power, O God, that living from the dry wood thou art born. All truly share thy godhood, while they keep in their accustomed ways eternal law. Strong is the thought of law, the law's behest. All works have they performed. He quickens all. Whoso will bring oblation, gifts to thee, to him bethinking thee, vouchsafe thou wealth. Seated as priest with Manu's progeny, of all these treasures he alone is Lord. Men yearn for children to prolong their line, and are not disappointed in their hope. Eagerly, they who hear his word fulfill his wish as sons obey their sire's behest. He, rich in food, unbars his wealth like doors. He, the house friend, bath decked heaven's vaults with stars. Just got a picture. Okay, so Angi goes into the cave, and there he in himself seeks the light of the law, so to speak, and its birth within him, and through it he becomes this great thing. Interesting. Hey, Balls for Life, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming in. We're in 69. It's talking about Angi. We've had a whole string of ones about Angi here. These are about the story of the heavenly battle between the serpent and Angi, and we'll continue on. Bright, splendid like dawn's lover, he bath filled the two joined worlds as with light of heaven. When born, with might thou hast encompassed them, Father of gods, and yet their son wast thou. Angi the sage, the humble, who discerns like the cow's udder the sweet taste of food. Like a bliss giver to be drawn to men, sits gracious in the middle of the house. Born in the dwelling, like a lovely son, pleased like a strong steed, he bears on the folk. What time the men and I with heroes call, may Angi then gain all through godlike power. None breaks these holy laws of thine, when thou hast granted audience to these chieftains here. This is thy boast. Thou smotest with thy peers, and joined with heroes bravest of disgrace. Like the dawn's lover spreading light, well known as hued like morn. He may remember me. They bearing of themselves unbar the doors. They all ascend to the fair place of heaven. That's the end of that set. So yeah, these are the description of the original creation, the original battle, different themes that were. Oh, that's interesting. That was 69, I believe I just read, and it goes to 71, as if 70 is not there. Nope. 70 is here, it's just not listed in the listing. Okay. I'm going to check Serial. Yeah, this is the continuation of the creation story and of Angi and his battles. We're hitting 12:30 though, and I am getting a little bit of hunger going on. That's another thing. I've been a couple times lately. Actually, been hungry. For the past couple of years, hungry has sparked nausea, and the nausea has sparked pain. So my body has avoided trying to feel hungry. Take a minute to wrap this up. Leave this. Everybody witness me. Once again this week, I'm bookmarking this exact page where 70 begins. It's weird. It's like I push the bookmark, it goes there, but then it's like it almost shifts back into the previous page. Of course, I did try to download pictures this week and found out that my hard drive is definitely going out. And I had a friend give me a hard drive, and I feel bad that I have not got it put in yet. I'm going to work on that as well. If I can actually get this thing to work, I might take it with me, but I don't know when and if or where I'm going to have signal on the road. I had some pretty cool ideas about people helping other people run their live streams, even though they don't have 1,000 subs through their phones. I've got a couple of friends hopefully working on that. But it's interesting here. We have these same stories over and over, the same. The pious man crying out for help to the one who helps those that are downtrodden. We have a very similar story of the story of creation or the original battle that's found in the scriptures. I've seen a lot of people do these different timelines, but they always want to overlap them all right on top of each other. And they don't always exactly fit. And each one of them has distinct differences. Each one of them has even time and date differences within them. It's the lengths of lives and reigns and all kinds of stuff like that. It'd be interesting with all this disclosure that's coming about, if one of the things they quote unquote find or have already found but have finally translated would be some great hall of records which has all this written down in progression. And if this story was read from beginning to end, would we have any question as to kind of what battle we're in now? I've been playing a thought experiment with myself this week, and I'll throw it out to you guys. It seems like we keep having descriptions of beings that come up from the earth, battling with those that come from the heavens. If there is a final war, and we do have that battle of those that come up from the earth against those that come from the heavens, it would behoove us to examine exactly who is in the earth and who is in the heavens. We have descriptions in all of the mythologies, all of the ancient tales, of a war that occurred within this time or within this dimensional framework. A group of them in rebellion lost and were put into the earth and required to stay in the earth. Then we have record of some that took off for the stars, and it says they're chased back from the stars to the earth. Is that what we're seeing now with all these things dropping out of the sky, all these mysterious pictures on YouTube of beings and crafts and orbs? What if there is a great dragon, and in our mind we've accepted it as a planet, called it, or a system of planets, but it's a celestial grouping that if our eyes were unveiled to look into the spirit, that other dimension, we would see this great dragon almost upon us now, and that it is being cast to this earth with all of its beings, celestial heroes, half human or whatever, all their offsprings, for one final battle. It puts us in one of the greatest times of humanity. It puts us at the times that the Dead Sea Scrolls termed the battle of the children of light against the children of darkness. And as we see what's going on in this world around us, that pendulum is swinging so far from side to side now, there's really no gray. You either choose a path of love and light, or you choose a path of direct hate, antagonism. I still believe the pendulum's swinging, that there's people in both groups that are still left to be divided out. I see it as a great fence being shaken. And it's interesting that we had in here that it said your wall, your spiritual wall was broken down. That's kind of what I see. I see a great spiritual wall that's being shaken, and the good and the evil is falling off on each side. And when that wall has divided the people, it crumbles. And what do you have left but two war teams ready to kill each other? And the problem is as children of light, is that supposed to be our aim? To destroy? To me, it seems like we're being driven, like they're trying to use us to do something. It says that the righteous man, he leaves that war. He gets away from it. He draws outside of it. He lets it kill itself off. There's a principle I kind of hesitated to talk about, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. And it comes across in many different names. One of the most commonly known is a restrainer. And some people attach this directly to the spirit of the Creator. Yet the spirit of the Creator is described as having 7 lights. I think it's interesting that we saw here the 7 beings that were created in this story. In the original creation, the 7 beings of light. But one of those, as a restrainer, its job is to destroy that which is evil. To keep evil from overcoming the good. And according to the text, the restrainer at some point in time is going to be removed. At which time the war I spoke about will come about. My personal belief from Scripture is that those that are left alive after all the cataclysms, who are these children of light, are caught up to come back in this war with the Word, with the law, with the Christ. All of these are described and placed within that one person, that one being, the Christ. And he takes all those of light, and it says that he then releases his wrath upon the earth. So you have all these things which have been driven back to the earth, who are of the darkness. And we have this great battle. in which darkness is eliminated and light sits upon the throne. It says it sits uncontested for 1,000 years. And then after 1,000 years, the great serpent is once again released. So here we have once again the great serpent for a period of time. And it does not describe that period of time, but in that period of time, the great serpent is able to go amongst all the children of the earth and once again gather them up, and this time to attack the city of the New Jerusalem, the actual seat of the Christ. And then it says in that battle, it is of such great import that the Creator himself shows up and corrects all things. So if this cycle is going to go forward again, one more step. Do we know how many steps backwards we've come from? Do we know how many times man has fallen from its original created state? Do we know what systems were put in place to correct that? I mean, if we believe in Jesus as a Christ, we know that there was a sacrificial system even prior to what we consider the AD BC moment. So do we know what was pre-diluvian or antediluvian? That word messes me up, anti. I know it means before, but before the Great Flood. Do we know what was before that ice age? The previous destruction. Do we know what system was in place then? No, but I think we have clues that there's always been a battle of those that strive after piousness and righteousness against those that seek to destroy, to take, to consume. And our hope is that that cycle will come to a complete end, that light will overcome all darkness. Anyways, I'm Brian Cannot Tell, wrapping this up. Thanks everybody who came in today. I appreciate you. Appreciate all that stayed and listened to me babble. I do appreciate it. I do have a kayak that I'm gonna try to play around in a little bit this afternoon. I tried last week to go live from it. I think I got like 3 minutes and it cut out, and I was really bummed because in the hour long that I taped, I actually had some really cool things I ran into. I had a blue heron that almost landed on the tip of the kayak, and he and I sat and looked at each other for like 5 minutes. And then I had, it looked like the water was bubbling, but a big fish was chasing a school of minnows, and it had them jumping every which way, just going back and forth like this big bubbling mass. Oh, it was cool. But YouTube, I appreciate all your help. I'd like to have 1,000 people only for that reason. You made me actually care about subscribers, YouTube. That really ticks me off. And I think they did that on purpose. But blessings to everybody with me today. I do thank you. Hopefully you get to play around this afternoon. Everybody have a blessed week. May prosperity and peace find you this week. Comfort in your time of need. Comfort in your time of pain. As those times come on us, let's not let the darkness fight against us in our minds. Let's remind it that we have a hope. We have a hope of healing. We have a hope of a time in the future when this golden age is going to return again. Shalom.